Everyone, I am Roan Carmel Saga and I am going to continue the report about chapter 4.3 to chapter 4.4. So let's start. So our topic is travel time and delay studies. So by the way, what is travel time and delay studies? A travel time study determines the amount of time required to travel from one point to another on a given route. In conducting such a study, information may also be collected on the locations, durations, and causes of delays. When this is done, the study is known as travel time and delay study. Data obtained from travel time and delay studies give a good indication of the level of service in the study section. This data also aid the traffic engineer in identifying problem locations, which may require special attention in order to improve the overall flow of traffic on the route. So we all know, and this is very common sa ato, especially here in our country, kay ang pagka-delay sa atong travel, it is very kanang common nga problem na to ang transportation kay kasagaran anhita madugay ba anhi ma-waste atong time sa travel nga imbis adto na unta ta sa atong destination or sa atong loved ones atong spend unta sa lugar kung asa ta padong pero dili ta maka-capable or dili ta maka-enjoy og taas nga time because of the delays and especially diri sa atong country because we are not that advanced sa transportation bisag probinsya or bisag adto sa syudad, and that is travel time delay studies. And in the following ato pang tan-aw kung unsa pay mga kuan sa travel time and delay studies kung unsa ni. So next is application of travel time and delay data. So unsa man ning application of travel time and delay data? The data obtained from travel time and delay studies may be used in any one of the following traffic engineering tasks. The following are identification of location with relatively high delays and the causes for those delays. So kaning application of travel time and delay data mao ni ang mga basihan kung unsaon nila pag-study, mao ni ang mga basihan nga mga data kung unsaon nila pag-study. So these are the samples. Next is determination of efficiency of route with respect to its ability to carry traffic. So it is very important nga ato pong i-determine kung sa usa ka ruta kung unsa ra ka capable siya, kung unsa ra ka daghana sa mga kanang mga alternative routes, kung unsa ra ka daghana sa cars or mga vehicles ang idyang ma-accommodate. So next is performance of before and after studies to evaluate the effectiveness of traffic operation improvements. Yes, kanang it is very important jud nga makita na to kung unsa improvement aning kaning mga ilang mga gipatupad ba sa study nga ilang gihimo or sa mga solutions like routes or ganang mga traffic, mga laws. Wata ka ba kung ay dapat nga i-determine na to kung unsa ka effective. So next is determination of relative efficiency of route by developing sufficiency ratings on congestion And next is determination of travel times on specific links for use in trip assignment models. Compilation of travel time data that may be used in trend studies to evaluate the changes in efficiency and the level of service with time. So next is the definition of terms related to travel time and delay studies. First is travel time. So travel time is the time taken by a vehicle to traverse a given section of a highway. Next is running time. Running time is the time a vehicle is actually in motion while traversing a given section of a highway. Next is delay. Delay is the time lost by a vehicle due to the causes beyond the control of the driver. Then next is the operational delay. Is that a part of the delay caused by the impedance of other traffic? This impedance can occur either as side friction, where the stream flow is interfered by other traffic. For example, parking on unparking vehicles. It is very common na to nga makita na to sa highway kani nga kinds of delays. So next is stop time delay. Stop time delay is that a part of the delay during which the vehicle is at rest. Next is fixed delay. Fixed delay is that a part of the delay caused by control device such as traffic signals. Mo na yung mga kinds of delay nga dili na to makalika dyan labi na kay it's about traffic signals and it's also for us. Next is travel time delay. Travel time delay is the difference between the actual travel time and the travel time that will be obtained by assuming that a vehicle traverses the studies section at an average speed equal to that for an uncongested traffic flow on the section being studied. So next is the methods for conducting travel time and delay studies. There are several methods have been used to conduct travel time and delay studies. This method can be grouped into two general categories. So first is floating car technique. So in this method, the test car is driven by an observer along the test section so that the test car floats with the traffic. The driver of the test vehicle attempts to pass as many vehicles as those that pass his test vehicle. So this is the equation of the floating car technique. N equals to the T sub A times the standard deviation divide the limit of the acceptable error and the speed estimate. So squared. So these are the definitions of each terms. N is equals to sample size and standard deviation, and this is equals to limit of acceptable error and the speed estimate. T sub A defines the value of the student's distribution, and A is the significance level. So next is the average speed technique. This technique involves driving the test car along the length of the test section as a speed that, in the opinion of the driver, is the average speed of the traffic stream. The time required to traverse the test section is noted. So, muna ang mga table sa speed and delay informations. So, moving vehicle technique. What is moving vehicle technique? In this technique, the observer makes a round trip on a test section like the one shown in figure 4.16, where it is assumed that the road runs east to west, east to west. The observer starts collecting the relevant data at section x minus x, drives the car eastward to section y minus y, then turns the vehicle around and drives westward to section x minus x again. Next is the number of vehicles that overtake while it's traveling west from y minus y to x minus x, that is traveling the westbound direction. So, di ba na tayo makita nga drawing sa taas ang and it is clearly said and makita po sa dapit ang the volume of V sub W in the westbound direction can be obtained from the expression, and the formula of this is V sub W is equal to N sub E plus O sub W minus P sub W times 60 over T sub E plus T sub W. So, next is license plate observations. What is license plate observations? License plate observation. The license plate method requires that observers be positioned at the beginning and end of the test section. Observers can also be positioned at other locations if elapsed times to those locations are required. Each observer's record the last 3 or 4 digits of the license plate of each car that passes, together with the time at which the car passes. Next is the interviews method. The interviewing method is carried out by obtaining information from people who drive on the study site regarding their travel times, their experience of delays, and so forth. This method facilitates the collection of a large amount of data in a relatively short time. ITS Advanced Technologies. ITS Advanced Technologies, which is also referred as to telematics, generally can be described as the process through which data of the movement of people and goods can be collected, stored, analyzed, and related information disseminated. The process has been used in many areas of transportation engineering, including the management of traffic, public transportation, travel information, electronic toll payment, and safety. Next is parking studies. Parking studies. Any vehicle traveling on highway will at one time or another be parked for either a relatively short time or a much longer time, depending on the reason for parking. The provision of parking facilities is therefore an essential element of the highway mode of transportation. So, as you can see sa maasin, di ba, pag wakas ka ng sakto nga parkinganan, kay 5 minutes ra ang ilang ihatag sa kung mag-car ka 5 minutes ra ilang hatag nga maghazard ka og lights, gamiton nimo ang hazard nga light aron dili ka maka-cause of traffic. So after that, kung wa pa ka diha sa 5 minutes, di ba, ilang klampan, usa pud na sa ilang pamaagi unsaon nga dili ka maka-cause og delay about sa parking. Usa pud na ilang gi studyhan ang sa parking studies. Types of parking facilities. On street parking facilities, these are also known as curb facilities. Parking bays are provided alongside the curb on one or both sides of the streets. These bays can be unrestricted parking facilities in the duration of parking is unlimited and parking is free, or can be restricted parking facilities if parking is limited to specific times of the day for a maximum duration. Parking at restricted facilities may or may not be free. Definitions of parking terms. So number 1, a space hour. A space hour is a unit of parking that defines the use of a single parking space for a period of 1 hour. Mano space hour. Number 2, parking volume. Parking volume is the total number of vehicles that park in a study area during a specific length of time, usually a day. Number 3, parking accumulation. Parking accumulation is the number of parked vehicles in a study area at any specified time. This data can plotted as a curve of parking accumulation against time, which shows the variation of the parking accumulation during the day. Number 4, the parking load is the area under the accumulation curve between two specific times. It is usually given as the number of parking hours used during the specified period of time. Number 5, parking duration. Parking duration is the length of time a vehicle is parked at a parking bay. When the parking duration is given as an average, it gives an indication of how frequently a parking space becomes available. Parking turnover. Parking turnover is the rate of use of a parking space. It is obtained by dividing the parking volume for a specified period by the number of parking space. Next is the methodology of parking studies. What are the methodology of parking studies? A comprehensive parking study usually involves 1. Inventory of existing parking facilities. 2. Collection of data on parking accumulation. parking turnover and parking durations. 3. Identification of parking generators. And 4. Collection of information on parking demand, information on related factors such as financial, legal, and administrative matters also may be collected. Collection of parking data. Accumulation. Accumulation data are obtained by checking the amount of parking during regular intervals of different days of the week. The checks are usually carried out on an hourly or 2-hour basis between 6 a.m. and 12 midnight. Turnover and duration. Information on turnover and duration is usually obtained by collecting data on a sample of parking spaces in a given block. This is done by recording the license plate of the vehicle parked on each parking space in the sample at the end of fixed intervals during the study period. Analysis of parking data. Analysis of parking data includes summarizing, coding, and interpreting the data so that the relevant information required for decision making can be obtained. The relevant information includes the following: number and duration for vehicles legally parked, number and duration for vehicles illegally parked, space hours of demand for parking, supply of parking facilities. So the space hour of demand for parking are obtained from expression. So this is the formula for the analysis required to obtain information. So D is space or vehicle hours demand for a specific period of time. N is the number of classes of parking duration ranges. T sub I is the mid parking duration, and N sub I number of vehicle parked for the ITH duration range. So that's it for 4.3 to 4.4. Thank you for listening.